G'day guys and gal. When the Necrons begun to wake up, it was the rudest awakening for both the Necrons and the entire galaxy. The Necrons had gone to bed, predicting the Eldar Empire would eventually fall, and then they would wake up and just clean up the scraps. They didn't expect the existence of a literal hell full of demons, mankind going guerrilla mode, the Eldar still going pretty strong, or an endless swarm of cosmic space bugs of death. For the galaxy, they were also pretty blindsided by the emergence of the soulless space Egyptians, with technology so advanced that if it weren't for the Necrons' constant pettiness and infighting, likely would have already reduced the galaxy to ash. Needless to say, no one was particularly happy with how things turned out, but that doesn't mean everyone's reaction was the same. Some became incredibly curious with the Necrons and started to try and learn from them. Others waged vicious wars against them. Some even saw them as the Messiah. Regardless, it makes for great content, so you are in luck, my friends. Before we get started, there is only 24 hours left before the Majorkill Mini store is taken down for the near future. I'm glad to see how many of you guys have jumped on the two new models, that being the Space Alexander the Great and the Space Elf Jester. But goddamn, Space Alexander the Great is going off like hotcakes, whilst the Space Elf Jester is Come on, Space Elf players, how do we expect people to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? I'd say this is one of the best sculpts on the entire store, easy to paint as well, like it took me like 5 minutes to prop this up. So if you ever wanted to give the Harlequins a try, then this guy is the perfect starting point. The store is full of other custom sculpts, such as the popular Kitten, the Giant Shark Daddy, the Chaotic Majorkill team, or even the Galactic Shark team. All this and a lot more. The STL files for these models will remain live when the physical models are taken down. And I've just uploaded the two new models to the pack that all current STL holders are getting for free. 24 hours, guys and gals, don't miss out. Today we'll go over how each faction within Warhammer 40k reacted to the awakening of the Necrons. Let's get into it. Starting us off with the Imperium of Man and its various sub-factions, because as we know, mankind is the greatest race ever. Despite being on the same side, the various Imperial sub-factions struggle to always agree on stuff, rarely ever having a united front. For the Space Marines, the awakening of the Necrons introduced a new threat that must be destroyed, and they have done so with ruthless success. They spent an entire Space Marine chapter destroying a Necron world engine. The Black Templars have been fighting against and even occasionally beating Imhotep the Stormlord. Pretty much every interaction between Astartes and Necrons results in epic destruction, but not every. During an engagement between the Blood Angels and the Necrons called for a parley and actually pursued a peace treaty with the Blood Angels so that they could defeat a common foe, that being the Tyranids. After all, the Necrons may be massive fucking assholes, but they have sentience and can be reasoned with. In fact, most high-ranking Necrons have colourful personalities and are not needlessly vicious or genocidal, unless they're fighting the Orcs. It also helps that the Silent King, Lord of the Necrons, was wearing a mask moulded into the likeness of Sanguinius, and he claimed to have even been mates with the Primarch. This is probably bullshit, but it did the trick, and the two factions fought alongside each other. Guardsmen are downright terrified of the Necrons, with the Inquisition keeping the existence of the Necrons a secret to avoid morale issues. Commissar Kane has fought nearly every enemy the galaxy has to offer, multiple times, and he says with absolute certainty that the Necrons are by far the most terrifying. This is coming from a guy that has fought Tyranids, Gene Stealers, and Demons in melee combat. The Sisters of Battle reacted similar to the Space Marines, except a bit more Sister of Battle-y. That meaning there would be absolutely zero chance of any form of parley between the two factions, as the nuns with guns would rather take on the Necrons and Tyranids simultaneously rather than do anything remotely logical. The Mechanicus, however, have lubed up their hydraulic cocks and are living their best life. Despite how hypocritical it is for them to want to study Necron technology, considering nearly all other xenotech is heresy, they do it anyway and cause a shitload of problems. Like, a fat chunk of Awoken Tomb Worlds are a direct result of Mechanicus expeditions. As such, despite the fact that the Mechanicus are probably the most open to the Necrons and their technology, they end up fighting the most battles against them. They just can't keep their shiny mechanical hands to themselves. Probably one of the funniest reactions from humans to the Necrons was when Trizin fought off orcs that were attacking a human world. He didn't do it because he wanted to save the humans, there was just an artifact on the world he wanted to protect, and the orcs were gonna fuck it up. None of the humans knew what a Necron was. To them, they had just been saved by tall metal men, hence they built a statue of Trizin, chapter master of the Silver Skulls Astartes, who led his tall and slender marines into combat to save them. The Inquisition caught wind and was going to destroy the statue, but Trizin stole it for safekeeping before them. Overall, the Imperium sees the Necrons as another existential threat to add to the pile. However, as they are a lot more workable than Tyranids and Orcs, there is the occasional golden nugget found in the lore where the two sides aren't trying to kill each other. What about the Elder? After all, the Elder and Necrons were sworn enemies during the War in Heaven. Surely they wouldn't be too stoked about their awakening. Yeah, they fucking weren't. They knew the Necrons were still out there and even destroyed some of their tomb worlds while they slept. However, with the size of the galaxy, the arrogance of the Elder, and some cloaking tech, the Necrons were mostly left alone during their slumber. Upon their awakening, most Elder craft have been avoiding their tomb worlds. However, a few have renewed their war against the Necrons in earnest and target them specifically. Surprisingly, however, the Necrons and Elder don't hate each other as much as you might think. They see each other more as worthy rivals rather than these inferior enemies. They've even teamed up on occasion to take out Tyranids and Chaos Forces, who they both see as the greater threat to the galaxy at this time. After all, both Elder and Necrons are old intelligent races. They don't have the suicidal religious zeal that the Imperium has, so they are able to prioritize their greatest threats. The Dark Elder are avoiding the Necrons. Necron slaves aren't a thing. You can't just fuck them. Well, at least not to non-Necrons. Plus, if a Dark Elder is hit with a Gauss weapon, they will be atomized and unable to be brought back from the dead, so yeah, not ideal. Exodites and Necrons are kinda similar in the fact that as long as you get the fuck off their lawn, they will leave you alone. To be honest, I wouldn't even be surprised if the Exodites didn't know the Necrons had woken up. And yeah, who the fuck knows what the Harlequins think. The Tau are both in awe and horror of the Necrons. To explain, the Necrons despise the Tyranids as the Tyranids are stealing biomass that the Necrons need if they want to return to flesh and blood. As such, it's common for Necrons to flank and attack Tyranid hive fleets that are in the process of attacking Tau worlds. Sometimes the Necrons will then genocide the Tau for a laugh, other times they will then leave them alone in peace. So for the Tau, the Necrons are like these godlike beings that will either save their world or save their world then destroy it for the lulz. It's a genuine flip of the coin, which is why the Tau have such a conflicted opinion of the Necrons and their awakening. The Orcs reacted happily enough. Necrons are another enemy for them to fight, and they don't have any memory or records of the War in Heaven, so they don't recall the old rivalry they once had. Unfortunately for the Orcs, the Necrons do remember, and they are fucking pissed. Orcs were built to fight Necrons, and they caused a lot of damage. Necron battle tactics and weaponry also counter the Orcs pretty hard. No bodies left over means no spore spreading. A preference for range warfare means a lot less melee combat for the Orcs. So whilst the Orcs reacted well to the arrival of a new enemy and will engage Necrons with relish, they prefer to fight other less complicated enemies, like humans. The Tyranids had a pretty interesting reaction. Although they cannot feel fear, when they arrived in the galaxy they actively avoided Necron tomb worlds. After all, the Necrons are a very hard counter to the Nids. They don't use the warp, so the shadow on the warp does nothing. They have no biomass, so the Tyranids can never gain a profit from attacking them. Necron weaponry completely destroys biomass, so the Tyranids can't even eat their dead. Even on the very rare occasion that a hive fleet has been able to overwhelm and beat a tomb world, they still walk away poorer as a result of it. As such, the Tyranids actively avoid the Necrons as much as possible, and probably find it a massive pain in the fucking ass that the Necrons have chosen them as their main target. I'm telling ya, the Necrons will be the ones to save the galaxy from the Nids. What about Chaos? How did they react? Not fucking well. The Necrons are the only faction right now that can genuinely perma-beat Chaos. They have fought warp gods, warp entities, and warp powers before, triumphing over all. Chaos is like a bitch version of what the old ones were capable of, and it's confirmed that if the Necrons put their mind to it, they could have closed the Eye of Terror pretty easily. They just didn't see Chaos as a big enough threat to warrant the effort. Chaos knows the Necrons are not an ideal target. They are incorruptible and deadly with a lot of anti-warp weaponry. A shit combo to fight against if you're a horny little demon. As such, there isn't much stuff in the lore about the two factions interacting, beyond the occasional pew-pew or Trazyn and Fabius striking a deal. So overall, the galaxy isn't too stoked about the Necrons. People either reacted with fear, anger, disgust, or curiosity. The Necrons counter the Nids and Chaos, which makes them ideal allies for the Imperium. But the Imperium is super racist, and the Necrons are massive arseholes, so that hasn't worked out so well. I think the biggest surprise I got from researching this is the fact that whilst the Necrons and Eldar definitely despise each other, there seems to be this rivalry, which has created this unspoken mutual respect. They'll never admit it, but the way they describe each other doesn't sound like something you'd say to an ant under your boot. More like an ancient foe who has bested you in the past, and you're kinda salty about it. In any case, there are much bigger fish to fry in the galaxy beyond a dying race of space elves or a bunch of grumpy soulless Skeletors who want people to just get the fuck off their lawns. If you enjoyed the video and you want to support the channel, then Patreon is the place to be. Where only $1 per month give you access to a boatload of Battle Mace 40 million titties. Hit the subscribe button and hit the real subscribe button for more reactful content. Join the Discord for more memes and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.